Hello and welcome to another edition of Happenings.
It really is all about and bringing the community to the school.
In the schools, developing relationships with students, with parents. No, we just taped a show on that.
Hello everybody and welcome to Happenings in the Dearborn Public Schools. I'm David Mustonen, Director of Communications for the Dearborn Public Schools. So that works out really convenient. They didn't have to get anybody off the street. They just came to my office, said, hey, come on down, do this show. And joining me, as always, on the show is our Superintendent Dr. Maleyko. Glenn, welcome. Here we are again. We're kind of co-host here on this show, kind of tag team the effort. So it's always a pleasure.
And likewise, I think this is the 42nd episode, 42 or 43, somewhere in there.
We're climbing.
We're getting close to 50. And I also say that it's a nice time of year as the days are getting a little longer, closer to spring. Less worries about snow days and school cancellations. And so that's always a positive when spring is here. And I just did get to speak to some students about that from Hague. They wanted to know what goes into the science of closing a school. So we had a great conversation today.
And you directed them to your blog, I'm
Correct.
sure.
Right to the blog.
Because that has all the information.
Videos.
It tells us how you do it, videos, everything.
It's got heat days on there as well.
Well, joining us today, a couple of folks who are obviously familiar with getting student input on all kinds of subjects, are the principals of our two of our high schools. Adam Martin from Dearborn High, welcome.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And Heyam Alcodray from Fordson, welcome.
Thank you.
And So
we thought we'd do kind of a, what is it like to be a principal of, high school principal in Dearborn. Sure. We did invite Mr. Casebold as well. He wasn't able to make it, but we'll have him on. He's been on the show before, so.
Maybe we can have him and Winifred and Mr. Fudlala. We can get the three of them on.
Correct, we can get them on. So I do have to say that I think that these two were outstanding hires. I'm not sure who it was that hired them. Oh, wait a minute, I got to think about that. But they were outstanding. They're doing a great job. So what I'd like to do, though, first is, Heyam, maybe we could start with you. Talk about your history and how you've gotten to the point where you're now a Fordson principal.
Okay, well, I come from the business field and I spent several years in it, but always wanted to go into education. So I ended up at Dearborn High teaching, and then from teaching, I also went on to do counseling for several years, and then as an assistant principal. From there, I was given the opportunity to be principal of Henry Ford Early College, and I spent a few years there. And then I went on to elementary and middle school position for McCullough Eunice, and enjoyed that very much because the elementary kids make you feel like a rock star, so that was a lot of fun. And then being a graduate of Fordson, I felt like that would really solidify all my previous experiences and a good way to give back to the school that gave me so much. So I've been enjoying it. I've been there for 2 years, and I'm looking forward to doing a lot of great things there. We got a lot of great families and students to work with, and staff.
Nice.
Mr. Martin.
So my path, I wasn't in the business world. I was in education, kind of from the get. But when I went to college, didn't really know what I wanted to do, and was given the opportunity to coach basketball. So it was through coaching that came the revelation that impacting students, impacting children was something that I wanted to do. And since then, I've kind of hit the ground running. Spent 3 years teaching in Detroit, science, and then 4 years teaching high school science in Garden City. And then from there was given the opportunity to be an assistant principal at John Glenn High School in Westland. And then after that, spent 4 years as a middle school principal in Westland at Stevenson Middle School. And then I'm in my second year here. And some would ask, where are my Dearborn roots? My family lived in Dearborn for 6 years, and I went to Hague for a couple of years, went to U of M Dearborn for both my degrees. So Dearborn's always had a special place in my heart. And when I went to the middle school, it was a real change from teaching at the high school and being an assistant principal at the high school. Because being at the high school, there's a definite pace. It's an exciting place to be. It's also tiring, but you get to really have adult conversation with students. And I always felt really empowered with that opportunity that, we're having some conversations with students that can impact a life decision that they're making that day. So I was really excited to come back to the high school level, and specifically at Dearborn, because it's always had a special place in my heart.
Well, that's great. And I can relate to the coaching because that's kind of how I got interested coaching hockey. Yeah. I was heading in a different direction and decided to go into education, so I totally get that and why you made that choice.
It's the truest teaching.
Yes.
Coaching, right?
So, and speaking of which, athletics, that's a place that I'm always, I enjoy when I get to the football fields, the student sections. I've been with a few of you. The selfie, you just know to just let's do it. And I think, Heyam, the one time I came over there and you came walking over and you're like, who's creating all the stir in the crowd? And I was in the middle, so we had her jump in the middle and get into the picture. But it's just about relating with the kids and having fun. So you're with the students all day. Tell, and we can go maybe, Heyam, you want to start? What is a day in the life of a high school principal and or a week in the life?
Well, I come in the morning and you're welcoming students in the hallway. They stop you, they ask you questions. I have an open door policy, so they feel very comfortable letting me know what's going on and what they might need and how I can assist them. And then one of the things I want to spend more time doing when I'm there during the day is going into the classroom, actually visiting the students, visiting our staff, supporting them, letting the students know that their education means a lot to me. So I try my best to spend as much time in the classroom. There's a staff, again, because our building is so big, will text me and say, I need to come down and see you. Are you available? Because they know that I might be in a meeting, I might be in a classroom. We spend a lot of time trying to figure out from the data, how can we improve academic achievement? But lately we're spending a lot of time on students finding purpose in their education, making sure that what they're doing at Fordson has meaning for them beyond Fordson. So we're spending a lot of time. I meet with a group of students occasionally, get their input on things we need to change in the building. Department heads meet with me all the time, and they provide me ideas, and that's the way to make a building a better place for everyone.
Okay. Adam, what would you say your day?
So the best thing about being a principal is, or an administrator, which is a little bit different than a teacher, is you have a idea what your day is going to be, but your day can kind of turn into a lot of different things. So it forces you to be flexible.
Sure. Yeah.
So day starts with students, greeting them in the hallway and being in the hallways during passing time and being in classrooms as much as possible. Like Ms. Alcodray, having an open door policy to meet with parents and students and teachers as well. And one of the things that Ms. Alcodray mentioned was always trying to get better at what you do. And I spoke before about the awesomeness of our job and our responsibility as we're creating opportunities for students beyond high school as adults. Sure. And in that, really reflecting on what the data says and trying to listen to what are the needs and trying to identify how can we reflect on our practice and get better every day for every student. And I think really that's something that I try to focus on. But creating and assessing systems and implementing new things can be tiring, but it's super rewarding. June 9th this year, we'll have 500 graduates walking across the stage, and that's what it's really all about. So our days are spent on our feet a lot and doing a lot of different things. And some of our nights are spent until 9, 10, 11 o'clock with covering sporting events or plays or whatever it may be. But for me, spending time with young adults who are transitioning to adulthood, and some of them are adults, is a blessing for me, and I love it. It's a great experience.
I think sometimes people forget that principals, you're instructional educational leaders, but you're also leading a business, a school. So you're dealing with not only leading the instruction of the school, but you're also dealing with all those issues that come around with being in charge of people. And and so there's all the dynamics between the staff that you are working with. And then you also have a whole nother community of parents that are part of that fold of people that you are building relationships with and communicating with on a daily basis. And, in Dearborn, our principals are managing schools and are in charge of schools that are as big as some school districts in this state. Right. So I think that really puts it into perspective of how important your jobs really are and how much they really must pull at your time. But also you have families as well, don't you? Absolutely.
Yeah, I have 4 children. Oldest is 12, down to 5. So, and I was sharing before we started, I'm helping coach there too. So yeah, there's a balance. But I don't work a job. I work a career. You know what I mean? Sure. It's a passion of mine. I feel like I was called into it. So my work here, yes, can be tiring, but it's also very rewarding, and I'm doing what I believe I was called to do. So that makes it better.
Speaking of which, our vision, students first, and we were talking about graduation. And last year we had all 3 of our high schools recognized as academic state champs. So some of that data showing, success not only for graduation but beyond, beyond graduation in college and beyond. And then I know we're now proud to say that our graduation rates have gone to 95%. So that's another positive factor in the district. Having said that, what is, if you could each give me one area that you're proud of in your couple of years and one area you think you still want to work on within your schools?
We're spending a lot of time on what's called professional learning communities, where staff is working together, trying to look at the data and improve upon what they're doing in the classroom, providing interventions for the students so that all students are addressed and feel supported. So to me, that's really made a big difference. It's a district initiative, and we have everyone's buy-in on it. So I'm real happy to say it's working very well for us.
Yeah. And I would say at Dearborn High School, too, we're working on professional learning communities, and this year have really worked diligently in identifying those essential standards that each content or each core level needs students to learn, kind of those musts, when we're going to graduate them or they're going to move from class to class. What are those musts that we can guarantee about learning? And I've felt really prideful in the amount of effort and products that our teachers have created. I would say from a student's perspective, it's been nice getting to know the Dearborn community and how community-oriented they are. And last year, I would say it's nice being able to empower students to advocate for different things. You've been invited a few times for different things here, and kind of letting students, rolling the ball out and letting the students take the ball and run with it, and seeing the power that they have. We as educators, I think, sometimes get into the trap of trying to figure it out for them, and giving them the ability to create it for themselves has been really fun for me to see.
That's great. And I just say that they're talking about learning communities as part of our strategic plan. Right. And so I'm glad that is one of the areas that I know that you're focusing on. And then again, going back to just making a difference for students. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, great. I'm glad you guys were able to take a few minutes from your busy schedule to spend some time with us and share a little bit about what goes on in your lives and throughout the day. We appreciate you stopping by and visiting.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And so next time we'll keep the ball rolling. I think we've got some beautiful programs coming up next time, right?
Absolutely. And I know we didn't get to it, but the whole high school boundary capacity issues, we plan to have that solved. So by the
next episode. So we'll get into that one at that time as well. Yeah. Great. So remember, we are always around. We're on YouTube, and we're also on our cable channel 19 as well. And you can always find a link to our videos on the superintendent's blog, on our communications blog. We have a lot going on here, and just what goes on in the high schools is just a small portion of what goes on here, even though it's a big portion, but it's just part of everything that goes on in this district, because we have a lot of students, we have a lot of schools, we have a lot of staff, but most of all, we have a lot happening right here in the Dearborn Public Schools.